Have you ever stopped to wonder what really separates a good teacher from a truly great one? It's not just about what they teach, but it's all about how they think. Today, we're going to unpack the 4 cognitive pillars that are the absolute foundation of teaching mastery. Think of it as the mental toolkit every great educator is using, sometimes without even realizing it.
So, what is that secret, right? What's the key to becoming that exceptional teacher? Well, I can tell you it's not some single magic bullet. The real answer is in mastering a set of really powerful mental frameworks. We're going to break down 4 completely different ways of thinking that, when you put them all together, create the foundation for true mastery in any classroom.
Okay, first up is pillar number 1, the top-down plan. The best way to think about this is like an architect's blueprint for your classroom. You start with a solid, established structure, proven theories and principles. This whole approach is all about deduction.
So, what exactly is deduction in this context? Well, it's just the process of taking a big, general rule, say a teaching theory or a professional standard you've learned, and then applying it to a very specific real-world moment happening right in front of you. It's all about moving from that big theory straight into practice. And this is super practical. It's not just academic stuff. Imagine you're running a workshop and a student makes a mistake. Now, the principle of immediate feedback is a well-known general rule in teaching, right? The moment you step in and apply it right then and there to help that student get back on track, well, that's deduction in action. You're executing the blueprint. All right, on to our second pillar, the bottom-up insights. Now, if deduction was the architect's blueprint, think of this as the builder's field notes. This is all about learning not from some pre-written rulebook, but from what's actually happening on the ground. This is where we talk about the power of induction.
Induction is pretty much the total opposite of deduction. You start with something small and specific, you're watching your students, you're analyzing what's going on, and from all those little moments, you start to build a bigger, general principle or a brand new strategy for yourself. You're going from practice back to theory.
So, for example, let's say you notice that every single time you use an example that's related to a future career, your students they light up, they get it. Their progress just skyrockets. Now, that's a specific observation. The inductive leap is when you turn that into a rule for yourself. Okay, from now on, I am systematically using job-related examples. You've just built your own personal theory from what works in practice. And here's the crucial part. These 2 pillars, they aren't fighting each other. They're really just 2 sides of the same coin. Deduction takes a general theory and applies it to a specific moment. Induction takes a specific observation and creates a new general theory. A master teacher is constantly dancing between the 2, creating this amazing feedback loop for growth. Let's move on to our third pillar, the cycle of refinement. If the first 2 pillars are about making and using plans, this is the workbench. It's the place where you get your hands dirty, where you continuously test and tweak and improve your teaching methods through something called iteration. Iteration is all about the power of the loop. It's this simple idea of repeating and refining what you do over and over again. But it's not just doing the same thing twice. The whole point is to make each cycle just a little bit better based on what you learned the last time. Action, observation, adjustment. That's the mantra. And here's what that cycle looks like. It's so simple, but so powerful. Step 1, you take an action. You try out a new teaching method. Step 2, you observe. How did the students react? Did they get it? Were they confused? Engaged? And then step 3, you adjust. Based on what you saw, you tweak your method and you get ready to test it all over again. This is really where the magic happens. Imagine you're trying to teach a really complex skill. Instead of just sticking to one script, you try a few different ways to explain it. You watch their faces for those aha moments, you check their work, and you use all of that information to adjust your approach for the next class. Or, hey, even for the next student. That's what relentless refinement is all about. All right, let's talk about our final pillar, and this one might be the most surprising. We're calling it the happy accident. This isn't about planning at all. This is that spark of inspiration, that moment of serendipity that you can't force, but you can absolutely learn to harness. You know what serendipity is, right? It's that amazing feeling of finding something really valuable when you weren't even looking for it. For a teacher, it means being open and observant enough to recognize an unexpected solution or a brilliant idea that just kind of falls into your lap. It's all about being ready for those happy accidents. Think about this for a second. You're walking past a colleague's classroom and you just happen to notice them using some unique, maybe even quirky, unplanned technique to explain a tough concept. And all of a sudden, you see the light bulbs going on for their students. Now, that wasn't in your lesson plan, but just by being open and paying attention, you've just discovered an incredible new tool for your own toolkit. So, there we have it, our 4 pillars: deduction, induction, iteration, and serendipity. Now, the key here isn't to think of these as separate skills to just check off a list. The real goal is to see them as one integrated toolkit that you can use for your own professional growth. So let's just recap it all, nice and simple. Deduction is all about applying the plan. That's your blueprint. Induction is learning from experience. Those are your field notes. Iteration is where you relentlessly refine. That's your workshop. And finally, serendipity is all about embracing the unexpected, being open to those happy accidents that spark real innovation. And this quote just brings it all home. Mastery in teaching, or honestly in anything, it isn't some final destination you just arrive at one day. No, it's a dynamic, continuous cycle of using these 4 ways of thinking: planning with deduction, observing with induction, refining with iteration, and discovering through serendipity. So as we wrap this up, I want to leave you with a question to really think about. As you look at these 4 pillars of the teacher's cognitive toolkit, which one are you going to consciously focus on building next in your own practice?